ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
नारायणं नमस्कृत्य
नारायणं नमस्कृत्यां
नरं चैव नरोत्तमं
नरं चैव नरोत्तमं
देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं
देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं
ततो जयामुदीरयेत्।
ततो जयमुदीरये।
नष्टप्रायेष्व भद्रेषु
अष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु
नित्यं भागवतसेवया
नित्यं भागवतसेवया।
भगवति उत्तमश्लोके
भगवती उत्तमश्लोके
भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी।
भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी।
कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय
कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय
देवकीनन्दनाय च
देवकीनन्दनाय च
नन्दगोपकुमाराय
नन्दगोपकुमाराय
गोविन्दाय नमो नमः।
गोविन्दाय नमो नमः।
Hare Krishna. So last session, we discussed the primary creation by the Supreme Lord, Sarga, in which Lord creates the universal system, the entire from the Virat Purush. We discussed about how various organs, various tanmatras, senses, sense objects, all of these are created, and how all the life elements like prana, dhatu are created. Even mind and intelligence are described. Yeah. So the these are like elemental forms, and then actual, the physical bodies, the species is not yet created. That is secondary creation. It's called Visarga. That will be done by Lord Brahma. So we'll read about Visarga, the creation by Lord Brahma. You know, Prajapatin Manun Devan
प्रजापतिन् मनो देवान्
Rishin Pitri Ganan Pitak
ऋषीन् पितृगणप्रथान्
Siddhacharana Gandharvan
सिद्धाचरणगन्धर्वान्
दर्वा
Vidya Vidyadharasura Guhyakan
विद्याधरासुर गुह्यकान्
विद्याधरासुरासुराभ्यः
Kinnarapsaraso Nagan
नराप्सरसो
किन्नराप्सरसो
नागन्
Sarpan Kim Purushan Naran
सर्पान्
सर्पान् किं
किङ्पुरुषान्
पुरुषान् नरान्
Matra Raksha Pisachamscha
मातरक्षा पिशाचंश्च
रक्षपिशाचांश्च
Preta Bhuta Vinayakan
प्रेतभूता
प्रेतभूताविनायकान्
विनायकान्
विनायकन्
Kushmandhonmada Vetalan
कुष्माण्डोन्मादवेतालान्
कुष्माण्डोन्मादवेतालन्
Natu Dhananan Grahanapi
यातु
यातूतनान्
धनान्
धनानग्रहानपि
ग्रहान् अपि
Kagan Mrigan Pashun Vrikshan
खगान्
खगान्
मृगान्
खगान्
पशून्
मृगान्
मृगान्
वृक्षान्
पशून्
पशून् वृक्षान्
Green Ripa Parispriyan
गिरीन्द्रपासरिष्ठान्
गिरिनृपा
गिरिन्द्रपासरिसृपान्
सरिसृपान्
Dvividas Chaturvidhayenye
द्विविधा
द्विविधा
चतुर्विधायेन्ये
चतुर्विधायेन्ये
Jalasthala Nabhavsh Kasha
जलस्थलानभौकशः
जलस्थलानुभोक्तः
जलस्थलानभौकशः
Kushala Kushala Mishraha
कुशला
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 कुशलमिश्राः
कुशलमश्राः
Karmanam Gatayastvama Tvaima.
कर्मणां
कर्मणां
गतयस्तमः
गतयस्विनः
गतयस्तमः
Yeah. So these are various forms of bodies that Lord Brahma creates. Sarpan, Kimpurusha, Rakshasa, Pisacha. Who should be given Rakshasa body is based on one's record, past records. Preta, Bhuta, Vinayakan, like that. So we'll see. Please read. Anyone?
O king, know from me that all living entities are created by the Supreme Lord according to their past deeds. This includes Brahma and his sons like Daksha, the periodical heads like Vaivatsvamanu, the demigods like Indra, Chandra, and Varuna, the great sages like Bhrigu, Vyasa, and Vasishtha, the inhabitants of Pitraloka and Siddhaloka, the Charanas, Gandharvas, Vidyadharas, Asuras, Yakshas, Kinnaras, and angels, the serpentines, the monkey-shaped Kimpurshas, the human beings, the inhabitants of Matraloka, the demons, pisachas, ghosts, spirits, lunatics, and evil spirits, the good and evil stars, the goblins, the animals in the forest, the birds, the household animals, the reptiles, the mountains, the moving and standing living entities, the living entities born from embryos, from eggs, from perspiration, and from seeds, and all others, whether they be in the water, land, or sky, in happiness, in distress, or in mixed happiness and distress. All of them, according to their past deeds, are created by the Supreme Lord.
Yeah. So it's the basis is past karma. All various living entities, they're all based on modes of nature. It's all mix of modes of nature.
With even the mountains?
Yeah, everything has a birth. Everything, yeah.
So somebody who, based on like the past karma, living entity, it will also be, it can be a mountain like a non-living entity, or am I wrong in thinking mountain is a non-living entity?
Yeah, mountain is a non-living entity, but it's an entity basically, like trees, water. I mean, everything has a beginning. In a
Correct.
way, everything moves according to Lord's plan. Everything has a beginning, growth, and sustenance and dwindling and destruction phase, even including mountains, everything, because the whole creation works like that. And we are like energy. We are like marginal energy. Mountains are like are they are the material energy of the Lord. And even within mountains, of course, like Govardhan Mountain, we treat him like a living entity. Especially in the spiritual world, they're all like personalities completely. But even mountains are entities, and those are created. They have a purpose, even though they're not living. Like
Okay.
Himalayas, Himalayas are specifically places of mode of goodness. Their great sages go and do tapasya, for example. That will help them. So there are levels of mountains as well. There are like there are mountains that are um, you know volcanoes, right? They are like mode of ignorance.
Okay.
Uh, they don't have life, but they still have some kind of an identity.
Mhm.
Yeah,
The varieties of living entities are mentioned in the list, and with no exception, from the topmost planet down to the lowest planet of the universe, all of them different species of life are created by the Almighty Father Vishnu.
yeah. Everything is created by Lord. In today's scientific understanding, they believe that everything comes from matter, right? It is by some kind of interaction of matter the life is generated, but that is not true. Everything comes from the Supreme Lord. Material nature is compared to mother, right? Although every living being is seen to come out of mother's body, it is a fact that the mother is not the ultimate cause of the birth. Father is the ultimate cause of the birth. Both play a very critical role, but father has to give the seed, right?
Mhm.
Without the father seed, no mother can give birth to a child. Therefore, living entities, in different varieties of forms and positions within the innumerable universe are all born of the seeds of Almighty Father, the personality of Godhead, and only to the man with a poor fund of knowledge do they appear to be born of material nature. So there is this Ardha Kukutnaya, Nyaya, that Prabhupada speaks in his books, which means sometimes in big, godowns where rice is kept, it appears like scorpions come out of that rice. Can the scorpion be ever born out of rice by the interaction of rice? No, it can never.
No.
Yeah. So there must be some, mother and father scorpions that would have, because externally it appears as if it comes from rice, but literally we cannot take things like that.
Okay.
Sattvam rajastama iti
Sattvam rajastama iti
tishra shuran naraka
Shashuranarakaha
tatrapi ekaikaso rajan
Tatrapi
Tatrapi
ekaso
ekaikaso rajan
vidyante gatayastridha
vidyante
gatayastridha
gatayastridha
yadaikaikataro anyabhyam
yadaikaikatarovyam
स्वभावा उपहन्यते.
स्वभावा उपहन्यते.
You know,
According to the different modes of material nature, the mode of goodness, the mode of passion, and the mode of darkness, there are different living creatures who are known as demigods, human beings, and hellish living entities. O king, even a particular mode of nature being mixed with the other two is divided into three, and thus each kind of living creature is influenced by the other modes and acquires its habits also.
So according to three modes, different living entities exist. Primarily, if somebody is primarily in the mode of goodness, they have become demigods. If in passion, they become human beings, and if they are, covered by mode of darkness, ignorance, they will become lower living entities like hellish in the hellish planets. And again, that's not it all. It's not like human beings are just mode of passion alone, right? It's a mix. In some conditions, there will be more rajas. There is some situations where they'll be behaving more mode of goodness. But ideally, one should get towards more in the mode of goodness, because that is a platform at which one can understand spirituality better. Right? So that's why in our practices, we always try to, follow the regulative principles and uh, practice various devotional angas so that we stay in the mode of goodness and transcend it, right? When we, so during those activities, we transcend the modes also. So then we become even better than demigods, because demigods are only in the mode of goodness. By performing devotion service, one can go above the demigod status also.
The living entities individually are being conducted by a particular mode of nature, but at the same time, there is every chance of their being influenced by the other two. Generally, all conditioned souls in the material engagement are influenced by the mode of passion, because every one of them is trying to lord it over its material nature to fulfill his individual desire. But in spite of individual mode of passion, there is always the chance of being influenced by the other modes of nature by association. If one is in good association, he can develop the mode of godness, and if in bad association, he may develop the mode of darkness or ignorance. Nothing is stereotyped. One can change his habit by good or bad association, and one has to become intelligent enough to discriminate between good and bad. The best association is the service of the devotees of the Lord, and by that association, one can become the highest qualified man by the grace of Lord's pure devotees. As we have already seen in the life of Sri Narada Muni, he became the topmost devotee of the Lord simply by the association of pure devotees of the Lord. By birth, he was the son of maid servant and had no knowledge of his father and no academic education, even of the lowest status. But simply by associating with the devotees and by eating the remnants of their foodstuff, he gradually developed the transcendental qualities of the devotees.
Narada Muni, in his previous life, as we know, he was a son of a maid servant, which means his prarabdha is not great. His past karma was not great. He and at 5 years his mother passed away, but he had the association of pure devotees, and that completely transformed his life, because then he understood the importance of human life and he practiced austerities and even achieved darshan of the Lord in the same lifetime. And then in the next lifetime he became great Narada Muni, who is the son of Brahma itself. So just by even the whatever our prarabdha is, doesn't matter. We may be materially facilitated or not, maybe rich or poor, maybe in a good shape or bad health, doesn't matter. Whatever may be, the best part of our life is having the association of devotees. Like here we are all together reading Bhagavatam. This is the best part of our life. We should understand that. All other material things, they come and go according to our prarabdha. But what we have today, in terms of our path towards the Supreme Lord, that is the real thing. That is the only real thing. Right? So this association is the most important thing we should cherish. Yeah. Sometimes even being born in a good family, like Azamila, right? The other opposite side. Even though he is born as a Brahmana, by bad association, by looking at a woman who is a prostitute, he was addicted to her. So by bad association, even good prarabdha will not be helpful. Even though your prarabdha is bad or your karma is bad, by good association it can transform. So most important thing is to have good association. Right? Yeah. Sa evedam jagadhata
Savaivedam
Saidhyata
Jagatata
Bhagavan dharma rupadrek
Bhagavan
Bhagavan
Dharma
Dharma
Rupadre
Rupadrak
Pushnati Sthapayan Vishwam
Krishnati
Pushnati
Pushnati
Sthapayan
Sthapayan
Vishwam
Vishwam
Tiryan Nara Suradhibhi.
Tiryanara
Shriyanara
Suradidhi.
Surad.
Mhm. Please read.
He, the personality of Godhead, as the maintainer of all in the universe, appears in different incarnations after establishing the creation. And thus he reclaims all kinds of conditioned souls amongst the humans, the non-humans, and the demigods.
So the Supreme Lord in the material creation, he plays the role of maintainer. Vishnu is the maintainer of all the universes. And he comes as various incarnations. Because he is the father, he is naturally the maintainer. Brahma is, given given the job of the creation in the material world, and Lord comes as the maintainer through various incarnations, and of course Lord Shiva is the in charge of annihilation or destruction towards the end, when the time comes. So here he claims why he comes. Even though he maintains, the goal is to reclaim all kinds of conditioned souls among the humans, non-humans, and demigods. Everybody needs to be reclaimed, whether you are human or demigod, doesn't matter. That is the goal. When Lord comes, people do not know that he is the Lord. So that's why in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says this: Avajanante mam moda manushim tanum ashrita param bhavam ajananto mama bhuta maheshwaram. When I come to the middle world by taking the human form, tanum ashritam, manushim tanum means human form, ashritam means taking shelter. I mean, Lord doesn't take shelter, but takes the form. Param bhavam ajananta, but he is, he is beyond all of that. Mama bhuta maheshwaram, he is the supreme Lord of all, everything. Maheshwaram, he is the supreme Ishvara. Yeah, but avajanante mamoda means people do not know because I look like them. I look like one of them, but they do not know. It is concluded that Lord is never a product of material creation. His transcendental position is always unchanged. He remains transcendental. We all come because of our past karma, and we are bound by the laws of nature here. But when Lord comes, there is no reactions to his actions. He is untouched. He is transcendental. He comes out of causeless mercy for our sake. Only the purpose is to reclaim us. Out of love, he comes. He doesn't need to come. Tatah kalagnirudraatma
ततः
रुद्रात्मा
कालाग्निरुद्रात्मना
yatsrishtam idamatmana
यस्सृष्टम्
यस्तं
इदमात्मनः
इदमात्मनः
sanniyachati tatkale
सन्नियच्छति
यच्छन्ति
तत्काले
तत्काले
घनानेकam ivanila.
घनानिकं
घनानिकमिवानिलः.
इवानिलः.
Please read.
Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thereafter, at the end of the millennium, the Lord himself, in the form of Rudra, the destroyer, will annihilate the complete creation as the wind displaces the clouds.
Yeah. So Lord comes as Rudra to annihilate the creation, so that the prarabdha of the next set of people can be served. Because people need to go through various forms according to their karma. So to facilitate that, annihilation is also part of the game. Right? If there is no destruction, creation, there is no impetus for jiva to get out of the middle world. If you are born here and you continue to perform karma and you continue to accumulate prarabdha and continue exhausting that, I mean, there is no motivation for us to get out of it. So that is why there is a misery, old age, and death, to remind us that we are not supposed to be here in the middle existence. Ittam bhavena katito
Ittam
Ittam
bhavena
bhaveन
katito
कथितो
Bhagavan Bhagavattama
Bhagavan
Bhagavan
भगवान्
Bhagavattama
Bhagavattama
भागवतम्
Natham bhavena hi param
नेतां
नेतावेन हि
भावेन
Bhavena
हि
परम्
param
परम्
drashtum arhanti suraya.
द्रष्टुम्
Drashtam
अर्हन्ति
अर्हन्ति
arhanti
सूरयः.
suraya.
सूरया.
Mhm. You know,
The great transcendentalists thus describe the activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but the pure devotees deserve to see more glorious things in transcendence beyond these features.
Hmm.
The
Go ahead. Yeah.
The Lord is not only the creator and destroyer of the material manifestations of his different energies, he is more than a simple creator and destroyer, for there is his feature of Ananda or his pleasure feature. This pleasure feature of the Lord is understood by the pure devotees only and not by others. The impersonalist is satisfied simply by understanding the all pervasive influence of the Lord. This is called Brahman realization. Greater than the impersonalist is the mystic who sees the Lord situated in his heart as Paramatma, the partial representation of the Lord. But there are pure devotees who take part in the direct pleasure, Ananda potency of the Lord by factual reciprocation of loving service. The Lord in his abode called the Vaikuntha planets, which are eternal manifestations, always remains with his associates and enjoys transcendental loving services by his pure devotees in different transcendental humors. The pure devotees of the Lord thus undergo a practice of that devotional service to the Lord during the manifestation of the creation and take full advantage of the manifestation by qualifying themselves to enter into the kingdom of God. Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Yeah. Thank you. So many people think, Lord, when we describe Lord's loving pastimes with, devotees, they do not think that that is the highest. Lord, as the creator and destroyer, as the supreme of everything, how he creates, they think that is the highest, but actually it is not. So, as clarified in this, pure devotees deserve to see even more glorious things in transcendence, activities of the Supreme Lord, because for devotees, Lord is more at a personal level, especially within our Sampradaya. Uh, uh, Devotees treat the Lord as, as their friend or father, or, as their lover. So in that way, it is a lot more intimate. This, creation, this is great. I mean, to know that Lord is the source of everything. But that is only about Sat and Chit features of the Lord. Sat is eternity. Chit means he is the source of all knowledge, right? So, but beyond all of that is the Ananda feature of the Lord. The how Lord is very, very loving person, right? So that only pure devotees actually even within that there are two categories. One is love the Lord as as the supreme like the in the spirit of the Lord of Vaikuntha, where there is more admiration than direct love. But the higher than that is the love of you know um, Gaudiya, the method that we have, where we treat Lord as one's friend or one's lover. In that way, it's more and more intimate. So that is the highest way to relate this to the Supreme Lord, right? Where just like the Lord, for example, the person is prime minister in office. Yeah, I mean, there is a good relation with all the other cabinet ministers and other MLAs, or or members of legislative assembly. But that is very, very formal. Even though it is personal, it is very formal. Like it cannot be intimate. But the same prime minister at home is very intimate. He is very he can even take his grandson on his back, or play with his uh, son, right? So it's a lot more intimate. So the Manjari Bhava that we aspire for in Gaudiya Sampradaya is like that. You have direct access to all these other devotees. They pray with to the Almighty Lord in great reverence, while we are like Manjari Bhava means you are like a servant in the home of the Lord. You have full access to the home. You have direct access. If the servant has some problem, they can directly talk to her master, okay, or his master. So it's lot more closer relation. So that's why it is mentioned here. Bhaktya mam abhijanati yavan yaschani tatvatah tato mam tatvato jnatva vishate tadamantaram. Bhaktya mam abhijanati. Abhijanati means knowing. Bhaktya mam. Only through bhakti can I be known. Right? In full, in chasmi tatvatah, in truth, in complete understanding. So to understand Lord as the supreme creator and maintainer is while it is great, it is still it doesn't cover the Ananda aspect or the personal aspect of the Supreme Lord. What Lord loves, what are his tastes, then you can intimately relate, right? If you love somebody, you can you know what they like to eat, you know what topics they don't like to hear, what topics they like to hear, the places they like to go, and the people they like the most. That's why in Gaudiya Sampradaya, the songs that we sing, we praise the Lord saying Yashomati Nandana Vrajvaranagar, right? When Lord hears that, he feels very happy. When he is related to his mother, Yashomati Nandana, right? He feels proud, he feels very happy. So by the songs we sing, right? By the prayers we do, we relate to Lord in a very, very personal way, whether you realize or not. So that is the um, uniqueness of bhakti, and especially the bhakti we perform, especially in Gaudiya Sampradaya. It's very special. It's like the essence, the highest. Yeah.
By development of pure devotional service, one can factually know the Lord as He is, and thus be trained in the bona fide service of the Lord, and be allowed to enter into the direct association of the Lord in so many capacities. The highest glorious association with the Lord is made possible in the planet of Goloka Vrindavan, where Lord Krishna enjoys himself with the gopis and his favorite animals, the Surabhi cows. A description of this transcendental land of Krishna is given in the Brahma Samhita, which is considered by the Lord Sri Chaitanya to be the most authentic literature in this connection.
Yeah. So Goloka Vrindavan, if you want to learn, it is described in Brahma Samhita. Nashya karmani janmadau
Nasya
Nasya
karmani
karmani
janmadau
parasyanu vidhiyate
parasyanu vidhiyate
kartrava kartritva सेधार्थम
Kratritva
प्रतिषेधार्थं
मायायारोपितं हि तत्
मायारोपितं हि तत्. There is no direct. Go ahead, Matas.
There is no direct engineering by the Lord for the creation and destruction of the material world. What is described in the Vedas about his direct interference is simply to counteract the idea that material nature is the creator.
So Lord doesn't directly, the transcendental Lord doesn't directly, be involved in the process of creation. So he creates these living, the responsible living entities like Lord Brahma and Rudra to take care of the material. He doesn't get in touch with material energy directly. So what is described in Vedas about his direct interference is simply to counteract the idea that material nature is the creator. See, the idea that material nature is the creator existed even at the time of Vedas. That's why he has to write like this. He has to counter that. Right? So it is described like this so that it's mentioned like in the scriptures, Lord is the creator, maintainer, destroyer. Yeah, but he is not directly creator. He creates all the facilities, but ultimately it is the mother nature that um, in her womb generates. But without father, mother cannot create anything. So, but for atheistic people, they do not see anything supreme like Supreme Lord. They only see nature around them. They think that nature is everything. Nature is the creator of all the living entities, but it is not. Yeah. Please read.
The Vedic direction for the creation, maintenance, and destruction of the material world is this. Yatova imani bhutani jayante yena jatani jivanti yat prayantyabhisamvisanti. That is, everything is created by Brahman. After creation, everything is maintained by Brahman. And after annihilation, everything is conserved in Brahman. Gross materialists, without any knowledge of Brahman, Paramatma, or Bhagavan, conclude material nature to be the ultimate cause of the material manifestation. And the modern scientist also shares this view that the material nature is the ultimate cause of all the manifestations of the material world. This view is refuted by all Vedic literature. The Vedanta philosophy mentions that Brahman is the fountainhead of all creation, maintenance, and destruction. And Srimad Bhagavatam, the natural commentation on the Vedanta philosophy, says, Janmadhyasya yatonvayad itaratas charteshv abhignya swarat, etc.
Yeah. So, inert matter cannot really interact and produce anything. We all have that experience, It cannot. So one should understand that the real creation comes from without the touch of the Supreme Lord, no creation can happen. Ayam tu Brahmana kalpa.
Ayam tu Brahmana kalpa.
Kalpa udahrita.
Savikalpa udahata.
Vidhi sadharano yatra.
Vidhi sadharano yatra.
Sarga prakrita vaikrita.
Sarga prakrita vaikrita.
Please read.
The process of creation and inhalation described in summary herein is the regulative principle during the duration of Brahma's one day. It is also the regulative principle in the creation of Mahat, in which the material nature is dispersed.
Yeah.
Shall I continue, Prabhu?
Yeah, go ahead.
There are three different types of creation called Mahakalpa, Vikalpa, and Kalpa. In the Mahakalpa, the Lord assumes the first Purusha incarnation as Karanodakasai Vishnu with all the potencies of the Mahatattva and the 16 principle of creative matter and instruments. The creative instruments are 11. The ingredients are 5, and all of them are productive of Mahat or materialistic ego. These creations by the Lord in his feature of Karanodaka Sai Vishnu are called Mahakalpa. The creation of Brahma and the dispersion of the material ingredients are called Vikalpa, and the creation of Brahma in each day of his life is called Kalpa.
there are 3 levels of creation. Mahakalpa by Karanodak Sai Vishnu, who creates the material ingredients. And then they're all framed into various universes. You need to have universes for based on like places of residence. First, construction of the residences are required. That is called Vikalpa. And then residents in the residents in the residences, right? That is Kalpa. So life forms have to be created. That is Kalpa. So, and life forms are created every day. Like therefore, each day of Brahma is called Kalpa. Again, like kalpas, multiple kalpas that form Brahma's days. Yeah, these are very details. We can skip it. Parimanam cha kalasya
Parimana
Parimanam cha kalasya
kalpalakshana vigraham
kalpalakshana vigraham
yata purastad yakyasye
yata purastad
Purastad
vyakyasye
padmam kalpam atoshrunu.
padmam kalpam atoshrunu.
So Sutta Goswami just described in brief about the Brahma's creation. Now he want to continue to the next topic.
O king, I shall in due course explain the measurement of time in its gross and subtle features with the specific symptoms of each. But for the present, let me explain unto you the Padmakalpa.
So he want to explain about Padmakalpa as the next topic. Right? And before and later on he will said I'm going to, the time concept was described in the previous verse, how time works, right? Because time is very relative element. For example, 6 months for us is like a day in the life of demigods. That's why we celebrate festivals only once a year. Why? We celebrate during the time when they're awake, right? So 6 months is called Uttarayana, the when Uttarayana, when all the festivals fall, right? And then the Dakshinayana, they're all resting. Half the year they will be sleeping our time. So there is no festivals. So that's why we offer Pinda once a year. That's when the higher living entities are available to disperse the food to the higher living entity, or, our ancestors. Yeah, all the festivals are celebrated like that because that is the time. Even if you celebrate once in the year, that is sufficient. You don't need to, because for in their daytime you are given once. That's it. That's all matters. In their nighttime you don't need to. Right? That's why we don't have like every month we don't have the same festival, Vinayak Chauthi. It's only once. Because that is, you are giving, you are doing that worship once during the day. Every day they are getting puja, the demigods from their perspective. Saunaka Uvacha
Saunaka uvacha
Yadahano Bhavan Shuta
yadahano bhavan suta
Shatta Bhagavatottama
shatta bhagavatottama
Chachara Tirthani Bhuvas
chachara tirtani bhuvas
Chaktva Bandhun Sudustyajan.
tyaktva bandhun satustyajan.
So Brahma, so the Goswami wanted to focus on a specific kalpa. Kalpa is like a day of Brahma, right? Padma Kalpa. He picked up Padma Kalpa of Brahma so that he can, in detail explain about the time factor and how the universe. He's explained theory. He want to give a demonstration with Padma Kalpa. He will do that in the third canto. Anyway, before that, Saunika, not interfere, but he speaks and says actually we want to hear about Vidura. How, what was the conversation between Vidura and Maitreya? He just, Sutta Goswami decided to speak about Padmakalpa, but then, Saunika the rishis, the Saunika specifically, he asked, hey, no, actually we want to hear about the conversation between Vidura and Maitreya. Go ahead.
Shaunaka Rishi, after hearing all about the creation, inquired from Suta Goswami about Vidura, for Suta Goswami had previously informed him how Vidura left home, leaving aside all his relatives who were very difficult to leave.
Yeah.
The rishis, headed by Shaunaka, were more anxious to know about Vidura, who met Maitreya Rishi while traveling to the pilgrimage sites of the world.
So when, during the battle of Kurukshetra, or before the battle of Kurukshetra, when even Lord Krishna comes as a peace messenger, asking, just give one small town to these Pandavas, they will not bother about it, they'll continue to rule, and you can continue to rule the Hastinapura. Even they didn't agree, and the war was inevitable. At which time Vidura counsels his brother Dhritarashtra and tells him, see, you are listening to this rascal Duryodhana, who is a Kali incarnation, and he is very greedy, and because you are you know uh, you're covered by the illusion that he's your son, you're not taking the right decisions that are right as a king. You should immediately kick away your son. That's what he says. Then when Duryodhana hears about this, he becomes very angry and he insults Vidura and throws him out of the kingdom. So Vidura, he is a pure devotee. He didn't mind, going out. He's not dependent on anyone. So at that time, he takes that as an opportunity to visit all the holy places in entire Bharat Desh. So in that travel, he meets first Uddhava, and when he meets Uddhava, because after the war was over and they all depart, even the Mausal Leela happens, and all the Vrajavasis leave the planet. At the time, where at some point, Uddhava meets Lord Krishna in a forest, and there was a conversation between them that will come in the 11th canto. It's called Uddhava Gita, direct instruction to Uddhava by Lord Krishna. It tells about all the religious principles, and it's very detailed, much detailed than Bhagavad Gita itself. It's called Uddhava Gita. So at that time, when the direct conversation between Uddhava and Krishna is happening, is in the form of a inquiry and answer, there was another person who also happens to hear there, which is the Maitreya Rishi. And he also hears all the conversation. He understands the points from Lord Krishna. And when Vidura was in his pilgrimage trip, right, he happened to meet Uddhava. And when he meets Uddhava, he was very curious about the conversation between him and Lord Krishna. And after that, Lord Krishna departs the planet. So he was very inquisitive, and he inquires about all the instructions that happened between them. And out of etiquette, Uddhava says, because I'm younger to you, Vidura, you are more older as well as wiser than me. I request you to go and talk to Maitreya Rishi, who also happened to be part of the conversation. So I will not directly tell, but it might be appropriate for you to directly hear from Maitreya Rishi. So there was when Vidura again further goes along in the pilgrimage, he eventually meets Maitreya, and there was a conversation between them that will form, conversation in many cantos in the future. But here, Saunaka Rishi is specifically asking about that. He want to know what happened in that conversation. So, he's asking for that. Yeah, let's read this. Kshattu Kausharavestasya
Shattu Kausharavestasya
Samvado Jhatma Samsmita
Sambado Dhyatma Samsritaha
Yadvasa Bhagavanstasmai
Yadvasa Bhagavans Tasmai
Prishtastatvam Uvachaha
Prishtastatvam Uvachaha
Hinastat idam Saumya
Bruhinastam Idam Saumya
Vidurasya Vichestitam
Vidurasya Vicheshtitam
Bandhuchaga Nimittam Cha
Bandhutyaga Nimittam Cha
Yathaiva Gatavan Puna.
Yadaiva Gatavam Punaha.
Yeah, please read.
Saunaka Rishi said, "Let us know, please, what topics were discussed between Vidura and Maitreya, who talked on transcendental subjects, and what was inquired by Vidura and replied by Maitreya. Also, please let us know the reason for Vidura's giving up the connection of his family members and why he again came home. Please also let us know the activities of Vidura while he was in the places of pilgrimage."
They want to know everything about Vidura because Vidura is a pure devotee. Yeah, Chandra Prabhu.
Sri Sutta Goswami was narrating the topics of the creation and destruction of the material world, but it appears that the rishis headed by Saunaka were more inclined to hear of transcendental subjects which are on a higher level than the physical. There are two classes of men, namely those too addicted to the gross body and the material world, and others on the higher level who are interested more in transcendental knowledge. Srimad Bhagavatam gives facility to everyone, both to the materialist and to the transcendentalist.
Yeah. So devotees like Shaunaka, they are more interested in transcendental subjects. They want to know about the conversation between Vidura and Vidura and Maitreya, because that is directly related to Lord Krishna and his and his pastimes. So they're not this how the kalpa Padma Kalpa works in terms of creation. They're not so excited about that knowledge. Devotees they're not focused on material world or material energy as much as spiritual knowledge, right? Yeah. Chandra Prabhu, you have a question?
So this is the Vidura meeting with Uddhava and Maitreya. This is after the Kurukshetra war, right, Prabhu?
Yeah.
Okay.
Prabhasa Kshetra, the location. So they meet. So there was a wonderful conversation between Uddhava, and you can read all the devotional principles we follow. They all come from those teachings. If you read them, then you will appreciate what Prabhupada has given us. Importance of deity form. Krishna speaks about all these details before leaving the world. He wanted those to be, followed.
And that is Uddhava Gita, I think, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Uddhava Gita in 11th Canto. You can read. It's wonderful material to study.
Sure.
Suta Uvacha.
Suta Uvacha.
Rajna Parikshito Prishto
Rajna Parikshita Prishto
Yat Avochan Mahamuni
Yadavochan Mahamuni
Tadvo Bhidasye Shrunuta
Tattvo Vedasye Shrita
Rajna Prashnanusarata.
Rajna Prashnanusarataha.
Sri Suta Goswami explained, I shall now explain to you the very subjects explained by the great sage in answer to King Parikshit's inquiries. Please hear them attentively.
Yeah, so he's going to speak about what Sukadeva Goswami spoke about this particular topic to King Parikshit. Yeah, so this is the end of it. And this is also the end of second canto. This is the last chapter. So in summary, this is what we discussed today. So Lord Visarga, which is the secondary creation, that is the topic for today. Lord accepted the form of Brahma to create the bodies of jivas based on their karma. Right? Brahma's creation is directly involving with material energy. So Lord is not directly involved. Lord will send his son Brahma to execute in this service. Species like Manus, Devatas, animals, humans created based on their karma. Modes permute to give many species. 3 modes, but the combination of one mode with the other 2 modes creates 3 by 3, 9, and again 9 by 9, 81, 81 by 81. You can go on like that. So everybody is created as a permutation of various modes. Lord maintains in the form of Vishnu maintenance and destroys in the form of Shiva. Most people thus see him as creator, but pure devotees see beyond. People treat God as the one who created, maintained, and destroyed in a very, with a lot of distance between them and God. But pure devotees love to be in a very loving relationship with the Lord. Lord doesn't take part directly in creation, maintenance, and destruction. Lord remains transcendental. Sarga at the beginning of is the beginning of Sarga is the primary creation by the Lord, and at the end of it is Lord Brahma created. And Visarga is the process is at the beginning of Brahma's day when he starts creating the living entities. Yeah, Chandra Prabhu.
So Sarga is where the fundamental elements are created, which is like water, fire, and everything, right? All the
Yeah.
Panchbhutas. And
Bhuta,
Visarga
not
is
only elements, even the senses, right? Um, sense objects, everything, even the sense devatas. Last week we studied for how various things come in that way. All the ingredients, not just the 5 elements, but when the sense, like the ability to see, that is a sense, right? So those are all created not for a particular living entity, but they are like um, they're like put in an assembly line. These are like detailed things, but they'll be put together by Lord Brahma. He's like engineer.
okay. And then Visarga is when is Brahma creating it, or Lord is taking. I saw a slide where it said Lord is taking the form of Brahma to do the rest of the creation.
Yeah,
Himself.
taking the form means takes the form means he creates somebody who will take care of it.
Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't directly touch material energy. And after the description of the Visarga, Shravana Rishi asks about Vidura Maitreya Samvada, a conversation between Vidura and Maitreya, and activities of Vidura in pilgrimage. Sutta Goswami replied by narrating same conversation between Sukadeva Goswami and Parikshit Maharaj. Based on audience interest, he will switch the topic from Padmakalpa to conversation of Vidura Maitreya Samvada. Yeah, Chandra Prabhu. Anything else? Any questions?
No, Prabhu. I think it was prayer. I had to lower my hand. That's it. Thank you.
Okay, good.
Prabhuji, I had so they switched the conversation to Vidura and Maitreya. So how about like the other topic? Do they discuss this later or no?
Yeah, they will discuss. You know what in this conversation, what Sutta Goswami speaks, what he begins with? He will begin with Padmakalpa only. That is also part of it. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Prabhu.
Yeah, it is aligned. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you.